Hi guys, my name is Amaryllis Williams, and today I will be presenting my topic, the economic impact of climate change. So I just wanted to talk about the reason why I chose the economic impact of climate change. I think that it's honestly overlooked by a lot of global citizens. I think that people just focused on the damage that climate change is doing physically, and they don't think about the billions in dollars that it's costing the globe. So, first, I decided to put the definition of climate change. The dictionary definition of climate change is a change in global or regional climate patterns, in particular, a change apparent from the mid to late 20th century onwards and attributed largely to the increased levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the use of fossil fuels. Climate change is also more commonly known as global warming. So I did put the dictionary definition of global warming, which is a gradual increase in the overall temperature of Earth's atmosphere, generally attributed to the greenhouse effect caused by increased levels of carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons, and other pollutants. Some examples of climate change or global warming would be ice cap and glacier melting, sea level warming and rising, ocean acidification, and extreme weather patterns. I then put a picture of the temperature change in the last 50 years. You could just look at that. I also then thought it was a good idea to explain what an economy is. I'm not a business major or an economics major, so I thought it would be helpful to just put this here. The dictionary definition is the wealth and resources of a country or region, especially in terms of the production and consumption of goods and services. So different countries and economies differ, obviously, depending on the region that you're in, and they also have different effects of climate change. If you're in a poor country, chances are that they are doing less regarding climate change versus a richer country who has the funds to maybe do something regarding climate change. So then there's a photo of the GDP for countries such as China, the United States, India, and Japan. Then I think that it's a good idea to describe what global warming is kind of in steps. So I would like to start off by explaining how the rising of global temperatures affect the globe. In some places, ice cap melts, which then leads to obviously sea levels rising, which then leads to oceans becoming more acidic, and the ocean will then warm easier. This also causes wildlife deaths. There's species in the ocean that are now going extinct because of how acidic the ocean actually is. And there are, obviously, we know that polar bears are also going extinct because they're losing their habitat due to ice caps and glaciers melting. The Earth's global temperature has been rising around the world, and the number of cold days is actually decreasing and is being replaced by warmer days all around the world. So then I wanted to talk about rising sea levels and land loss. Rising sea levels and land loss, they take different tolls on different economies depending again on what region you're in. If your region has more extreme weather, such as the East Coast, but not just on the East Coast, there's other places. Coastal land is lost every year due to erosion and submergence. So climate change just plays a bigger role on land loss when there's more extreme weather from climate change, or if there's a rising in sea levels from climate change. It causes more water to rise and just more things to be destroyed. If you guys are familiar with New Orleans, Louisiana, there has been many natural disasters that have gotten stronger over the years because of climate change. And since sea levels are also rising, it puts them in this position. A lot of people that live in New Orleans are impoverished and are still living where their house is literally underwater. This also happens in Venice, Italy. Here are photos of tourists literally wading through the streets of Venice, and this is detrimental to Italy's economy because a lot of the buildings are old in that city, and destroying them costs billions of dollars in repairs. I then want to talk about the economy deeper and how it relates to climate change. When things are destroyed by extreme weather or sea levels rising, it costs millions of dollars to repair the roads, people's homes, buildings, all that stuff. And in Finland, there were research studies that were done to see how much rebuilding from one singular flood would cost. And it was estimated to cost about 40 to 50 million euros to rebuild one bridge after one flood. So if you could imagine that happening to other places in the world, it would only cost more, or somewhere around that. So the solutions to climate change are the solutions to saving the economy. If we slow down the negative effects of climate change, we're slowing down how much money we're going to have to put into our different economies and governments. So ways to do this is significantly decreasing the amount of fossil fuels being used globally. So for us, that means drive less, bike more, or use public transportation. You could go vegetarian. We could also stop deforestation worldwide and plant more trees to get the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen. But there are also some barriers to this as well. Some countries do not have resources and funds for changing their normal ways of life that could be causing climate change. There's also skeptics that doubt and protest or make bills and pass laws against climate change reform because they don't believe that it is a real thing. And there's also no amount of money that any economy can have set up that can prevent weather and natural disasters caused by climate change. So that's something that, as global citizens, we can't directly intervene with and prevent. But what we can do is, as college students, we have the responsibility of recognizing that we are global citizens, and we're the ones that can influence many people, such as on campus or on social media, to recognize the dangers of climate change, not only to our environment, but our economies. And since we are tomorrow's generation, we're the generation that has to deal with what's happening right now. It affects most citizens worldwide. So I really encourage you guys, after watching this presentation, to just be aware as a global citizen, because even though we should be concerned about the effects of climate change already physically, we should be scared that coastal cities can be lost, and we should be scared that we're losing wildlife. But we should also care about our economy, because we are the next generation that has to deal with it. Our kids are going to have to deal with it. So it really should be something that we all care about. And thank you guys so much for listening. I hope that you guys were able to learn something and that you care about this topic as much as I do, maybe a little bit more now.